Heels take the trophy, or will the Jayhawks jam their dreams? Can the Blue Devils defy the odds makers, or will the Runnin' Rebels run away with another tournament? Live from News 36 Sports, it's the Final Four Countdown.
And welcome to the Final Four Countdown. I'm Jim Celania. Tonight, a look at the hoopla surrounding the big weekend in college basketball. With me, a man who knows the Final Four, Cedric Maxwell, who was there, the Final Four in 1977. We were just talking, a little hard to believe that the school down the street was in the Final Four, Cedric.
Yeah, it is really surprising just we got in and played as well as we did. Sometimes you don't realize what happened until after it's over.
All right, we're going to take a look at some rare footage of Cornbread playing basketball in 1977. He won't let us, but we're going to anyway. Also, we are covered up in Indianapolis. Right, Wil Hampton?
That's true, Jim. We're right here in Indianapolis. And, you know, one of the funniest things I've seen today is there's a big hole with a bunch of bushes covering the hole. And I think 5 people have already fallen into that hole since we started doing this live shot. Definitely a lot of emotion in Indy tonight.
Oh, we're looking forward to that. We want some live coverage of that, Willie. Okay, we'll be back with Wil Hampton in just a moment. First of all, we have to establish the credibility of the man that's with us tonight. Not that we have to, Cedric Maxwell. MVP in the NBA Finals in 1981 against the Houston Rockets, but we want to take you back even further. Let's go back to 1977, Final Four. Talk about these pictures.
Oh, don't talk about going back that far. Oh, gosh. Oh, the days of the Afro.
Old country boy out there playing in Atlanta in the Final Four, right?
Yeah, them were the days when I was young and just, I guess I could do whatever I wanted to do then.
What is this, Marquette, those weird uniforms they wore, and Al McGuire was the coach?
Yeah, this was back then at the time when Marquette was really one of those teams that you just wanted to beat.
Here's the play that beat you, right?
Oh, one of the things about death right here. This is where you could have been fouled and...
Was that your hands, that ball hit?
Shot, and...
Oh.
Is that how you lose one of them? Oh, God.
That reminds me of the USA-Russian Olympic basketball game. It was so controversial, and if you win it, you go to the final game.
That is a case right there worse than death, really. I mean, everybody thought this ball was dunked at the time, but you look at it, and the way it happened was it was one of those things that I blocked the shot, and the shot actually went in.
Did it break your heart at that time?
That was probably the biggest heartbreak I've ever had in basketball, and even losing in the finals in the NBA was not even as disastrous.
Yeah, but you got to go on to the NBA. So many of your teammates had to just sit and think about that game. Not that you didn't, but you had some great times with Bird, and you won NBA championships. So I guess every athlete has heartbreak times, right?
Yes, it's one of them things where you get out and you play hard and you want to do well so many times, but things happen, just don't happen for you sometimes.
All right, so Cedric was at the Final Four. We're going to go back there right now. Let's see what Wil is doing, Cedric, up in Indianapolis. Hey, Wil, what's happening?
Well, right now, everything's pretty calm. There's supposed to be a big party going on behind me, but it's just too cold here in Indy tonight. The party, of course, will start Saturday in the Hoosier Dome. Today, the fans were out there in force. They're basketball fans up here in the Hoosier State. You better believe it. Some 25,000 fans showed up to watch practice, and the Hoosiers aren't here. I know I tease my family a lot because they're up here in Indiana, and I'd say, hey, you know, 2 teams from North Carolina in your dance right in your Hoosier Dome. Duke is back again for the 4th straight year, Jim.
Yeah, they look like they're ready. They look like they're confident, Wil.
Definitely. I think this team, like we were talking earlier on the news, they want UNLV. They're not only here just because they want to play they want to play a game, they want to play a couple of them, and they're ready to go to business.
Much better ball handling team, and I would hope that if they do get on some type of a run, that we're able to execute a half-court offense where we can either get them to foul us or score or both, and not let them just go crazy there for a couple minutes.
The week has helped us out a lot. You know, we've had a couple of good practices, and we've given ourselves an opportunity to be rested. I think the guys are very fresh. We haven't made drastic changes in the way we play, but we've put in a few things that we think can help us in the basketball game.
I don't think there's any way that we will see a 30-point loss by Duke this time like they lost to UNLV the last time they took them on. Of course, Carolina is also here. A lot of Carolina fans made the trip. You know, Eric Montrose is home in his Hoosier State, in his home city. This team is ready. Dean Smith has already told us back in Syracuse that he was very confident about this team. He thought this was a very special basketball team, and he thought they would go a long way in the tournament, and here they are in the Final Four. Carolina, I think, is playing as strong as ever. They are playing their best basketball of the season, and now they got to take on Kansas. Teacher against pupil. That's the way it's going to be. Dean Smith against Roy Williams. It's not just that. They're trying to downplay that a little bit as they get ready for the final games.
Here comes the double, and Rivers eschew the three and missed the jam. Spud will outrun Reggie Miller, but Miller will get the ball.
Okay, now I guess that'll do it for that. And Jim, back to you.
All right, Will, we'll talk to you later. Will in Indianapolis live at the Final Four, and we're going to be right back with Cedric Maxwell and more on the Final Four when we come back.
Observer Sports. The Charlotte Observer, putting people in touch.
There's more to buying a Mercedes than just the car.
She loved the 300E, so we did the trade and put her in the silver one that afternoon.
I love it. I mean, how are they going to treat me after I buy the car?
And I told her how easy routine maintenance was and how good our service people are.
Okay, but then the real test came. One Sunday night, we're on our way home.
Yeah, flat tire.
I call the 800 number. The roadside assistance guy comes out, puts on the spare, no charge. I could have kissed him.
If you think you don't need Michelin high-performance radials, maybe you should stop and think again. Why spin your wheels buying tires? Buy Michelin high-performance radials. Buy them at NTW. We're in the Yellow Pages.
Check the Yellow Pages for the NTW location nearest you.
That hot cup of coffee.
Hello, Ellen. How are you?
That first name greeting. That fast, friendly service you get makes you feel like you're at home, and you are at Home Federal Savings.
Hi, I'm Joe King, inviting you to come to Home Federal for all your banking needs. We now have checking and savings accounts, personal, auto, and mortgage loans, as well as Visa and MasterCard. We're large enough to offer you the services that you want and need, but small enough to give you the personal service that you deserve.
Hey, you long-haired hippie, come on out and let's play.
I hate it when he does that.
Come see the new Pontiacs
At your local Pontiac Carolina Excitement Connection dealer.
And while we're talking to coaches, who's your coach in the Final Four?
Lee Rose.
Lee Rose.
Yeah.
So did it send him on to greatness like it did you?
Well, Lee went to Purdue. He did well, and then he went up, did a little things in the NBA, so I guess he did okay.
All the guys are doing good. Watkins is out there helping Jeff Mullins, still with the 49ers, and it's nice to see that. Let's talk about the teams. First of all, North Carolina. Cedric has some pretty definite ideas on this first game. Let's talk strengths and weaknesses. Hard to find weaknesses on any team in a Final Four. Do you think there is a major weakness for Carolina, Cedric?
I think that Carolina's glaring weakness right now is going to be the ability to try to contain Randall on the inside. I think that if Montross doesn't play well, I think they're going to have a lot of trouble.
You like Randall because he sets up shop down on the block, and Carolina really hasn't shown that kind of strength under the basket?
That has been the big key. I think that when I went and saw Kansas against Indiana, I think that Randall showed me a lot, and also Jamison showed me a lot. Those players really play exceptionally well inside.
You think they have to have a big game out of King Rice?
King Rice, I think, is going to be the key for Carolina. I think that, as indicated before, Meeks, who played with Indiana, didn't play well, allowed Kansas guards to get a lot of rest. And King Rice has to come out and demonstrate more than the last 3 minutes. He has to play a full 40.
Do you think it's a good thing that Dean has been playing a lot of players, or is it a bad thing going into the Final Four?
Well, I think it's good so far as going into the finals is concerned, because you have a lot of players who are rested, and I think you have a lot of players who know what prime time is. So I think it's good in that sense. Professional-wise, I think it might take away a little bit, but so far as the Final Four, I think it's good.
All right, let's talk about Kansas. This is a team that Cedric and yours truly is very impressed with. How could you not be after what they did to Indiana? This is a ball club that Roy Williams really seems to have an affinity for. They know what they're doing the minute they hit the court.
Yeah, I think that they really did. I think watching them play, this is the first time I got a chance to see him play. Just speaking of Randall, there he was using the left hand. I think that he's just going to be a player that's going to be there with a lot of tenacity. Kansas' guards will really play big-time basketball, and I think that's going to be one of the keys to the whole thing.
You think that Kansas should be favored in this game, right?
I think definitely Kansas should be favored, and I hate to swallow that pill here living in North Carolina, but I think that Kansas, with their ability to play on the inside, I think that makes them really, really tough.
I got to agree with you. I think Kansas at their best is better than Carolina at their best. That doesn't mean they'll come out and play at their best, but what they showed me against Indiana, and I've seen them when they're hitting on all 8 cylinders, they're really some kind of ball club.
Well, like we said before, I'm going to step out on the limb. I'm going to take Kansas by 8.
Yeah. Cedric thinks Kansas is going to beat North Carolina. All right. Well, the 1991 Final Four has a lot of interesting angles to it. The best must be the connection between Dean Smith and Kansas. The matchup is an ironic one for many reasons.
The Jayhawkers return to the KU campus after a surprise push to the finals of the Big 7 tournament, where they lost 87-93 to Kansas State. And here they are, the famous Cinderella team of 1953. Alan Kelly, Harold Patterson, Dean Smith. These men were to lead Kansas to national basketball prominence.
All right, boys. This is going to be the roughest, toughest season a University of Kansas team has ever. I've seen them come and go, and I just tell you, you're carrying a terrific load on account of last year's great NCAA champion.
Dean Smith has come a long way since playing for Fog Allen's 1952 national championship team at Kansas. Smith has won 717 games at Carolina and a national championship of his own. That Carolina system produced Roy Williams, an assistant under Smith, for 10 years before taking the Kansas job.
Roy Williams wouldn't be sitting behind this table right here if it weren't for Dean Smith, and Roy Williams wouldn't be nearly as successful as I have been if it wasn't for Dean Smith and the players that we had at North Carolina and the players that we've had here at Kansas.
Which makes playing his former boss that much tougher.
Talking about a guy who's very, very special to me. It's like a big brother who's given me everything that I have and a heck of a lot more than I deserve. But if I had a big brother and I was playing him, I'd still try to beat his butt.
I was excited for Coach Williams and the KU program. That is my old school, but mainly for Roy.
Doug Elston has had the opportunity to play for both Williams and Smith. As a walk-on at Carolina, Elston transferred to KU to walk on.
Coach Smith is a lot more laid back. He's accomplished basically everything you can accomplish as a college coach, and he's got 10 times as much experience as Coach Williams does in their years they've been a head coach. Coach Williams is really a perfectionist. We don't leave the floor here until we get things done the way he wants them done.
Other Kansas players can also see the similarities.
It's like looking in the mirror.
We can't come out and call a play out of bounds. We can't call B3 because they know what in the heck that is. So we're going to have to huddle up, but at the same time, they can't call that 30 because we're going to know what 30 is.
Both coaches want desperately to win on Saturday, but the loser can take a little comfort knowing his close friend is headed to the finals. In Lawrence, Kansas, Len Lehman, News 36 Sports.
That is going to be quite interesting. Cedric will be back with us when our countdown to the Final Four continues.
Just ahead, reliving the nightmare. Last year, UNLV gave Duke's Bobby Hurley bad dreams. Can the Blue Devils finally get respect from the running Rebs when Final Four countdown continues?
So I said, lease? You're telling me that I should lease the Mercedes?
He loved the car, but he was completely in the dark about leasing.
Cheaper car, cheaper payment?
Well...
Expensive car, expensive payment.
So I told him our first law of leasing. Since two things that determine monthly payments are interest rate and resale value.
She was starting to make sense.
And since Mercedes has had the highest resale history in America, it can cost a lot less to lease a Mercedes.
Leasing. These days it does make a lot of sense.
Growing up, I didn't have a lot of things, but I always felt that my family worked for everything they had, and I think that carried over with me. I wouldn't say I'm physically gifted. I can't run or jump. Practice, practice, practice. Every time I go to the free throw line, I think all net. So no matter how hard you work or how hard you try, there's always somebody out there a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. I don't know why God chose me to play professional basketball, but thank God he did.
Your family has always known saving is important, Lillian Marie, but it became even more important when you came along. Now your parents and I are thinking more and more about your future, your braces, your first car, college. We want you to have it all, and saving will make it possible. And I know your money will be safe and growing at Home Federal. So rest easy, Lillian Marie. Your parents, Home Federal, and I are already working on your future.
Hey, you long-haired hippie. Come on out and let's play.
I hate it when he does that.
Come see the new Pontiacs.
At your local Pontiac Carolina Excitement Connection dealer.
I've always dreamed about living on Lake Wylie. The Lake Club is my dream come true. Plenty of room, 2,000 square feet of much better quality and detail than I had in my house in town. Every comfort attended to. Quiet, elegant, private, and convenient. Just 20 minutes from Charlotte. I've got it all at the Lake Club.
The Lake Club. Exclusive lakeside living on Lake Wylie. Take I-77 south to exit 82A and follow the signs.
That's a fairly good record for Coach Krzyzewski. Okay, we've looked at two teams, Cornbread. Let's take a look at the rest of the field in the Final Four. Now, the ball game between Duke and UNLV, I know you've already told me you think it's going to be a tight ball game, a good ball game. Can Coach K play with UNLV this year?
I think they can. I like Duke's chances this year a lot more than I did last year. I think because of the two guys that they brought in this year. I think they're going to really play well, and I think that with them being athletes, I think that's what they come in and do well against UNLV.
The one thing I believe Duke has to really fight against, and that's coming out too keyed up, too fired up, that can oftentimes translate into fouls. If Christian Laettner would get in any kind of foul trouble, if he picks up 2 fouls in the first 5 minutes and Coach K has to sit him down, I see a blowout then.
Yeah, I think the game would be then, but I think the thing I like about the whole thing is that if they come out and they play exceptionally well, I think it's going to be a good, tight, hard-fought game. And Duke, with their intelligence, I think that them playing so smart, I think that they'll play well this year.
Okay, let's talk about the Sharks team, UNLV now. Now, this is a team that I'm sure Tarkanian has tried to tell his team, yeah, you beat them by 30 last year, but we got to go out and play that well again this year.
I think that's really true, but I think that what UNLV is, what Duke has on it right now is just a knockout punch. I think it's like Tyson getting knocked out. Know that you can get knocked out again. If they get down early, I think they'll be in a lot of trouble.
Okay, now UNLV, what is the key to this game for Duke even staying in it in your eyes?
I think that they have to, as me and you were talking before, I think it's the backcourt. I think that Hurley has to come out and play really well and do well and hunt and not be intimidated by those guys on the other side wearing the red.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Jerry Tarkanian is a great coach?
Well, I think that his record speaks for itself right now. I think when he's talking about Long Beach, I think he didn't lose a game there. UNLV, he's played particularly well there. So I think that if you look down the line, so far as great coaches are concerned, I think that you'd have to look at him and say he might be one of the best coaches ever coached a game.
I don't think he gets the credit he deserves just because the stigma attached with the NCAA investigations, the Las Vegas type deal where they are. But when you get a team to play the kind of defense that team plays, to me, that's a great coach.
I think you're exactly right. I think because you're playing in Las Vegas, I think that takes away from it. That atmosphere of gambling and all the things around it. You'd be thinking, how can it be a college atmosphere there?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like Tobacco Road or the UNCC campus. I think that's one of the things that goes against Tarkanian. Well, we talked to several coaches about the Runnin' Rebs. Can anyone beat UNLV?
Anyone can get beat on a given night, but Vegas would have to beat themselves because they don't have a weakness.
Oh, I think they can be beat. I don't think they're going to. They're the best team. You know, they have the best players, and they're extremely well coached. But I think it's not like anybody, you know, everybody's saying there's no chance. There's 3 teams here that can beat them. There's no question about that. But.
Well, you know, anybody can be beaten any time. You know, that's why you play the games. But if there ever was a clear-cut favorite, it's UNLV, and you know, I'm picking them like everybody else.
Cedric, when you were a kid, did you ever get beat up by the bully on the block? Because that's got to be what Duke feels like last year. National audience, they get killed by 30 points. Did it ever happen to you?
Oh, yeah. I was always the little skinny kid running home all the time to mom.
Well, if you did, you probably still remember it. That's what it was like last year when Duke took a shellacking from UNLV in the NCAA final. As Mark Barger reports, the only way they can get past UNLV this year is to let go some of those pretty bad memories.
Last year's shellacking by Nevada, Las Vegas was the stuff of nightmares for the Duke Blue Devils.
All I will ever remember is that, you know, we had about 2 or 3 or 4 maybe timeouts during the second half. And each time on the bench, we really didn't have an answer. And it's like 12 people looking to coach, like, coach, pull off a miracle.
And those effects did not disappear immediately. They even got into Bobby Hurley's dreams last summer.
I was just swimming around in the pool, and there were sharks around me and everything, and I just stayed there. I didn't jump out of the pool or anything.
Those nightmares are long since gone for Bobby Hurley. Now he and his Duke teammates will try to turn the tables on the running Rebels. That means staying composed and poised and forgetting last year.
If they make a run, we might start thinking about things like that, and that's going to be one of my jobs, one of Bobby's jobs, and definitely one of Coach K's jobs, I think.
You have to expect that a team like that's going to make some runs at you, and you have to, you know, take their best punch and keep going. And if we're even going to think about winning the basketball game, then that's what we're going to have to do.
As for any psychological scars from last year's game, Coach Mike Krzyzewski just doesn't buy into that.
My feeling is that you learn from each experience until the experience is over. Last year, when we lost, there wasn't much to learn from because that was it. You know, if we had, I'd try to learn more from it if that was during the regular season. But that's the end of that chapter, and now we got a new book.
And the Blue Devils hope it's got a different ending. I'm Mark Barger for News 36 Sports.
Man, oh man. Why didn't you ever go into coaching? I mean, the career you had.
I really was scared because I might get a player just like myself.
Oh, well, most coaches would have loved to have had a player like yourself. Let's go back to Wil Hampton right now in Indianapolis. And Wil, I know being from Indiana, it's really nice to be back there in that balmy weather you're having, right?
Oh, it's beautiful weather. You're a Hoosier also, Jim, so you know how it is up there.
Well, I'm smart.
Get used to it.
I'm smart. I stayed here.
That's true. Somebody just came by with a flyer. Fresh homemade barbecue ham sandwiches. Sounds good, doesn't it? Come here, guys. Come here. Everybody crowd around me. I'm cold. Come here. Get in here. Cold. Tell me about this basketball tournament in your home state. What do you think?
It's a good one.
Duke, who's your favorite?
I'm for Duke. I'm a Duke fan, yeah.
Why?
Oh, I like it because they're smart guys. I like to see college kids get a college education.
Hey, Jim, you know who this is? This is my dad. This is my dad, my little brother back here. We're having a little family reunion, but these are some guys from Brownsburg, Indiana. And thanks for sticking out here in the cold.
Oh, you're welcome.
The Hoosier Dome is a great facility, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is.
What kind of basketball do you expect to see this weekend? The best you've ever seen, or you think Indiana's already got too high of a plateau to achieve, to catch?
You mean Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, Indiana's such a big basketball state.
No, I think the games are going to be good, and I think it'll be very exemplary of Indiana basketball. I think that there'll be 3 games. I think UNLV will win, but I think there'll be good games.
Even though there are 2 teams from Carolina, UNLV and Kansas,
UNLV will win,
it'll feel like Indiana basketball because of the crowd.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's right.
Who are you for?
UNLV.
How about you?
UNLV.
And you?
UNLV.
We got some rebel fans over here. Duke, Carolina back behind me, and Jim, the way I think it's going to go, my predictions just off the cuff, I say Carolina will beat Kansas, and Duke will lose to UNLV, but then Duke will wear UNLV down so much. They'll lose the game, but they'll be tired as they approach and take on Carolina. The Tar Heels will come away national champs.
All right, Will.
From Indianapolis.
Very good. Try to get back in outside that stuff. I know how cold it can be in Indiana at times.
Dad, you gonna treat me to dinner?
Oh, he's getting free dinner down there already? Or up there? That's right, it's up there. That's right. Okay, we're going to be right back with more on our countdown to the Final Four with Cedric Maxwell. After this break and a word from our sponsors.
McDonald's is making real McDeals. Making them fresh. Making them pure. Making them taste great. And making them at a real deal price. Taste the real McDeals at McDonald's every day. Do a double take with this big meal deal. 2 cheeseburgers, large fries, and medium soft drink, just $2.89 at McDonald's.
There's more to buying a Mercedes than
just the car.
She loved the 380, so we did the trade and put her in the silver one that afternoon.
I love it. I mean, how are they going to treat me after I buy the car?
And I told her how easy routine maintenance was and how good our service people are.
Okay, but then the real test came. One Sunday night, we're on our way home.
Yeah, flat tire.
I call the 800 number. The roadside assistance guy comes out, puts on the spare, no charge. I could have kissed him.
My mother actually didn't want any of us to play basketball. She feared that we'd be injured. 6 years ago, I tore up my knee. I knew that it was career-threatening and possibly career-ending. The whole knee just basically shattered. No one really knew what was inside of me. My heart would bring me back to play the game again. But I wanted to become an all-star again. That was my goal. The doctors, they could tell me what was inside my knee, but they couldn't tell me what was in my heart. And it's what's inside of me that made me an all-star again.
Joe King for Home Federal Savings, here to share some thoughts about saving for the future. This is my granddaughter, Lillian Marie. She's not even a year old, and already we're thinking about her braces, her car, and her college education. We want things to be perfect for her, and we're letting Home Federal help. Home Federal gives local folks superior service and excellent earnings on savings. Lillian Marie will know. Home is where the heart is.
Welcome back to our special tonight. Jim Celania, along with Cedric Maxwell, formerly of UNCC, the Boston Celtics. Let's take a look at the starting times of these games and pinpoint who Cornbread thinks is going to win them. First of all, okay, we got North Carolina taking on Kansas. North Carolina's a 4-point favorite. You think Kansas is going to win?
Kansas is my choice.
You like Kansas, period. Okay, that starts at 5:40. Then Duke and UNLV starts at 8 o'clock. Who do you like to win?
UNLV to win, but I would not be surprised if Duke ended up winning this game.
Okay, let's go on to the championship game. Then we don't know who's going to be there. If it is UNLV and Kansas, the two teams you think will get there, who do you like there?
I think the winner of whoever comes out of the UNLV-Duke game is going to win the national championship.
Okay, I will hold him to it on Monday. Let's go back up live in Indianapolis one last time for Wil Hampton. Final thoughts, Will, on what you're going to be doing this weekend?
Oh, we're going to be right with it all weekend. Tomorrow night we'll be live at 11 o'clock, and then Sunday we'll be live again. And then Monday, if we're still here, if both Carolina or Duke or one of them still alive, we'll be here covering it all from Indianapolis. Myself and photographer Doug Stacker, who I must say is doing a great job.
Okay, Will, you sure are. Thanks a lot. Have a good time up there, and keep the good coverage coming. Cornbread, thank you very much for being with us. I know the fans love to see you again.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. It's been a plus.
All right. I know he's going to enjoy the games tomorrow. He'll find some folks and watch the basketball, as I will. Thanks again, and thank you for being with us. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the NCAA. Jim Celania for Cornbread Maxwell. That's all for tonight.